Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Vibrant You. Today we are talking about supercharging your cells for anti-aging, for abundant energy, and optimal health. So we are going to be diving deep into cellular and specifically mitochondrial health. We're going to go over some of the mysteries behind mitochondrial dysfunction, which is a really common and silent culprit behind many different health experiences, ranging from fatigue to brain fog, all the way to autoimmune conditions, even cancer. So I'm going to share with you in this episode a whole arsenal of biohacks, 8 specific strategies that you can do to reclaim your cellular vitality, supercharge your cells, and unlock the secrets to abundant energy, anti-aging, and optimal health. So let's get right into it. So first of all, what are mitochondria? So maybe you've heard this word before, maybe you're a pro, you know exactly what this is, but just a little overview is that mitochondria are really the essential energy producing components or organelles inside of every cell in our body that runs all of our cellular activities. So these mitochondria inside of our cells basically take the nutrients from the foods that we eat, plus water and the oxygen that we breathe, and convert that into usable physical energy in the form of something that we call ATP or adenotriphosphate. And ATP is really life's energy molecule, and it's essential for all of our body's essential activities, all the way from creating physical energy needed to feel energized, but also for every single tissue, for every organ in the body, those cells and those mitochondria need to be working at their best to create longevity and vitality. So often when we think of symptoms with our health, whether it's digestive issues that we're facing or hormonal imbalances or brain fog, whatever it may be, or any diagnosed disease like diabetes or cancer or whatever it might be, is we really need to go beyond just looking at health from an organ or a tissue level. And we need to kind of zoom in a little bit and look at the cells for healing disease. So digestive health is not just about cleaning out your colon or, energizing your liver, right? It's really about looking at the cells. Well, why is your colon not functioning optimally? Why is your liver sluggish? Is it because your cells aren't at their best, right? They are sluggish and tired, or there's some sort of dysfunction or deficiency in the mitochondria that aren't allowing then the tissues and the organs of the body to repair, regenerate, and be at their best. What is mitochondrial dysfunction? When it comes to cellular vitality, we have, of course, cellular vitality and cellular dysfunction or mitochondrial dysfunction. So these mitochondria, that energy-producing organelles inside of our cells, that mitochondria really starts to decline in its performance, in how effective it converts nutrients and oxygen and water into cellular energy. It really starts to decline by the age of even 30 years old. So most of us, if you're 30 or older, we're already facing some level of mitochondrial lack of optimal performance. So mitochondrial dysfunction is really experienced when the mitochondria in the cells are either damaged or simply not producing enough energy. And there's many reasons as to why that could be, and we're going to get deep into that today. Sometimes they're just not as efficient as they used to be, or sometimes in more serious cases, they're simply not working at all. So mitochondrial dysfunction is really one of the main underlying causes behind so many chronic symptoms and diseases that people face nowadays. Again, everything from just digestive issues to, hormonal imbalances, all the way to autoimmune conditions and cancer. It really comes back to the cells and optimizing those mitochondria inside of the cells. So how do you know if you're experiencing some level of mitochondrial dysfunction? Well, number one, if you're 30 or older, there's already a natural decline in our cellular energy production. However, if you're experiencing things like fatigue or extreme fatigue or lower levels of mood, brain fog, muscle pains or weaknesses, you're not recovering from physical activity in the same way as you used to when you were younger. There's any level of exercise intolerance, just feeling really tired and really zapped when you go for a walk or go for a hike or do any sort of physical exercise. If you experience things like headaches, migraines, any issues with your vision isn't 20/20 like it used to be, you have any issues with your immune system. These are all really common signs and symptoms that our mitochondria and our cells aren't functioning as optimally as they could be. And this is just the surface of it, right? Most of us would be experiencing that to some degree unless we're actively working on optimizing our cellular health. But it also goes to the other end of the spectrum, which is any sort of chronic-based diseases, right? Any diagnosed diseases, things like adrenal fatigue or chronic fatigue syndrome, any autoimmune condition, right? From fibromyalgia to Parkinson's to Alzheimer's disease to type 2 diabetes. This is a mitochondrial and metabolic disease, cardiovascular disease, cancer. All of these are 100% impacting our mitochondrial health. Or I would say that mitochondrial imbalances and dysfunction is an underlying root cause imbalance behind all of these chronic diseases that we see nowadays. So I want to recommend a book to you before we get into what causes mitochondrial dysfunction and how to rebalance and optimize the mitochondria with some key biohacks. And the book that I want to share with you is a short, sweet little textbook that I have used and referred to a lot in my practice. It's called Mitochondrial Dysfunction by MD Michael T. Chang. And it's a functional medicine approach to diagnose and treatment of mitochondrial dysfunction. So it says, get rid of fat, fatigue, and brain fog. Short, sweet, thin little read, and really goes deep into the science of cellular health and well-being and how we can unlock vitality in every organ, every tissue, every level of our being through supporting our mitochondria. So I highly recommend that book. And let's get into what causes this mitochondrial dysfunction. So what got us here other than turning 30? I'm turning 30 this year, and I've been taking care of my mitochondria for a few years now to prevent that decline before it starts. But let's get into the 10 main underlying root causes behind mitochondrial dysfunction so that we know really how to optimize. So there are 10. Number 1 is chronic high stress levels. So when we are stressed, our body is stressed, we burn through nutrients so much more quickly. So we burn through electrolytes, we burn through B vitamins, we burn through antioxidants so much more quickly. And that basically steals what our cells really need to function optimally and to produce that ATP or that life's energy molecule that we need for optimal health and well-being. So stress reduction is essential. Number 2 underlying root cause behind mitochondrial dysfunction is poor diet. Having a lot of toxins in our diet, overeating, undereating, things like alcohol, right? We're not getting the nutrition that we need, or we're even pulling or stealing the nutrition that we're getting by overeating or alcohol or eating processed foods, those types of things. Number 3 is nutritional deficiencies. So again, if we're simply not getting enough omega-3 essential fatty acids, we're not getting enough antioxidants, we're not getting enough magnesium and B vitamins, that will of course impact the mitochondria because those are the main nutrients that our cells need to produce energy and to recover and detoxify the body at that deepest level. Main imbalance number 4 is gut issues. So if you are experiencing any sort of gut-based pathogens, from candida to bacterial overgrowth to mold to parasites to leaky gut, all of these are going to create more stress, oxidative stress inside of the body, and start to kill off or create dysfunction inside of the cells in the mitochondria, because your body's in a constant state of fight or flight, and that stress our cells don't really love. Root cause imbalance number 5 is toxins. So the exposure and the buildup in the tissues of chemicals and pollutants and toxins from the cosmetic products that we use to the cleaners that we're exposed to in our home. And I just want to say, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a pretty healthy person. I imagine that you've already swapped out a lot of your cosmetics and your home cleaning products to more natural, non-toxic or low toxin exposures. However, when I go to the gym to exercise, to build my mitochondria, I was just there yesterday, there's this really toxic perfume room spray, to make it smell not like a gym. But of course, that is so hormone disrupting. It is so mitochondrial disrupting. Kills cells. So, even though you're doing your best and you're going to the gym and you're doing all these great things, When you drive, to the sauna, you're driving through traffic and breathing in brake dust. So I'm just saying that no matter how healthy and clean we live, we always need to look at toxins, because the rate at which these toxins are coming into our life, even though we live so clean and so low toxin, you eat organic, we're still exposed. It's just simply beyond our control. And so better to have, fail safes in place like detox protocols to, prevent that buildup and to really support our body to eliminate them. So again, those toxins, chemicals, pollutants, heavy metals is a big one. Exposure to heavy metals through foods and fish and brake dust and things that we inhale and things that we're exposed to on a daily basis. Number 6, root cause imbalance is any sort of bacterial, fungal, or viral-based infection that's causing oxidative stress inside of the body. That damages our cells. Pharmaceutical drugs as well. There are thousands of medications, that are prescribed and consumed on a daily basis in the world population, many of which damage the mitochondria and cause side effects. So all psychotropics, all painkillers, all statins, most antibiotics kill mitochondria. They damage our cellular health, which isn't good. Number 8 is any levels of inflammation, so tissue inflammation, organ inflammation, and oxidative stress. Number 9 is any sort of radiation. So exposure to even low level, right? It's not necessarily that you're getting x-rays every day, although of course that impacts the mitochondria and creates damage and dysfunction in our cells. But low levels of radiation, exposures to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and 5G and even just like having your technology plugged in. If you sit with your laptop on your lap, right? If you have your phone in your pocket, if you hold your phone up to your ear when you talk on it versus using speakerphone or radiation-free headphones versus the AirPods, right? We don't want to be using AirPods. We want to use cords, even though it's old school and we look kind of silly nowadays. I always feel funny when I'm at the gym with my radiation-free, headphones that have cords on them versus those fancy Bluetooth ones that you plug in your ears without the cord. But all of that, right? Exposure to electromagnetic frequencies, it damages our cells. It creates oxidative stress. Our cells aren't happy with that. And then number 10, root cause imbalance is sedentary lifestyle. So lack of physical activity or too much physical activity. We want to find that Goldilocks rule, that middle path, not too much, not too little. Too much or too little on either end of the spectrum, either extreme, can damage mitochondrial and cellular health. So those are the 10 main underlying root causes behind mitochondrial dysfunction. I'd love for you to just kind of reflect on which ones of those sound like they are the lowest hanging fruit for you to start to address. Which areas could you start to optimize to improve your cellular health? And let's get a little deeper. So let's talk about how to actually rebalance and start to optimize those mitochondrial well-being and your cellular health today. So what can we do to reverse this mitochondrial dysfunction and prevent dysfunction in the future? So we really do need a whole protocol, a mitochondrial support protocol to really rebalance this. So without cellular energy, rebalancing all of our other body systems, such as gut health or hormonal health or cognitive health, often fails. For example, trying to treat low thyroid hormone without supporting the mitochondria is like turning up the thermostat in our home without electricity or gas in the furnace. Detoxification is essential. Our liver needs to be working, right? If you're trying to detoxify your liver without giving your cells in your liver everything that they need, that milk thistle that you're taking isn't going to do much, right? We need an adrenal or estrogen balancing protocol, but we need mitochondrial support to support our, sites of hormone release to really function optimally there. So what I'm trying to say is that we need our cells to be working well so that our liver can detoxify, so that our hormones can balance themselves, so that our brain can function optimally, and we need to be looking at the cells. Here are the top 8 biohacks I have for you here that you can use to start enhancing your cellular mitochondrial health today. So number 1, biohack for mitochondrial health is nutritional support. So I'll often start my clients on a 21-day elimination diet to eliminate foods that may be causing inflammation, that may be, exposing them to toxins or pesticides, that may be feeding infections, low-grade infections or gut pathogens that may be causing that mitochondrial dysfunction to begin with. So overall, our cells thrive with foods that are non-GMO, non-processed, avoiding triggering foods like sugar and dairy and gluten and soy and corn and vegetable oils, right? Canola oil or rapeseed oil or canola oil, those types of things. We want to avoid those, as well as any sort of artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors, as well as alcohol. So what does that mean? We are going to focus on foods that are organic, foods that are fresh, foods that come from the outer edges of your grocery store. Avoid those middle aisles that are full of boxes and bags and cans, right? We want nutrient-dense, whole and natural foods. So think fruits, vegetables, root vegetables, squash, clean animal-based, grass-fed, free-range meats like fish or chicken if you eat those, beans, lentils, legumes, nuts, seeds, right? That's it. We want to make sure for mitochondrial health that we're consuming plenty of colorful, antioxidant-rich foods. When it comes to mitochondrial health, oxidation creates mitochondrial dysfunction, and antioxidants actually balance the oxidative stress in the body that cause that mitochondrial dysfunction. So knowing that it's oxidation in the body that's causing the cells to dysfunction, we need antioxidants, right? That is doing the opposite effect of oxidation to reverse that and promote cellular health and energy. So antioxidants come from the foods that we eat, right? Eating really colorful, eat the rainbow, eat foods that are full of vibrant colors and polyphenols and flavonoids and all of these important antioxidants that we really only get from things like fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. So eat the rainbow. And we want to avoid snacking or overeating. So fasting we'll get into a little bit deeper down below here. But avoiding snacking or overeating is really important for cellular health as well. So we're not overwhelming our digestive system, and we have time and space in between our meals for our cells to really recover and rejuvenate versus our body prioritizing so much time on digesting. Okay, biohack number 2 for optimal cellular and mitochondrial health is to do a functional medicine detox. So because toxin exposure or heavy metal exposure is such a common underlying root cause behind mitochondrial dysfunction, we want to address that and support the body by detoxifying from those toxins. So I have an entire mini course, Radiant Health, Functional Medicine Detox, that I really walk you through how to achieve your own at-home 7, 14, or 21-day functional medicine detox so that you can eliminate these toxins. You can give your cells and your liver, which is your primary detoxification organ, everything that it needs, all of the raw nutrients that it needs to do their job really well. So I will link that up below, the Radiant Health Detox course, as well as some links to supplements for heavy metal detox. If you've never done a heavy metal detox before, highly recommend it. We're simply exposed to so many heavy metals, things like aluminum and lead and arsenic and mercury, all of these heavy metals that, of course, damage our mitochondria. So do a functional medicine detox. So number 3 biohack for optimal cellular health and mitochondria is exercise. So we're kind of starting with the most basic. Imagine these biohacks as we build one on top of the other. We're really starting at the foundation, which is nutritional support, right? Detoxification, layer number 2. Layer number 3 of this pyramid is really exercise. So these are simple things, but simple is vital, right? So we can get into all the fancy supplements that you can be taking, but if you're not eating well and exercising, those supplements aren't going to do much. So engaging in regular physical activity is a very simple but powerful biohack for mitochondrial health. So when we exercise, we actually increase what's called mitochondrial biogenesis, which means that your body produces more mitochondria. It actually builds the physical size. When you put demand on your muscles, we're actually increasing the demands on our cells. We're building our cellular energy. So both aerobic or cardio-based exercise and resistance or strength training can really increase the number of mitochondria in our body. Science says by up to 50% in 6 weeks. So the intensity of our exercise should really be this middle path again. So not too much, not too little, right? Over-exercising also causes mitochondrial dysfunction. So the intensity should really be about at least half of your maximum capacity for 20 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, so I'll say that again. If we want to increase our mitochondria by 50% in 6 weeks, we want our intensity of our exercise to be at least half of our maximum capacity, but not our full max, right? So about 60-70% maximum capacity for 20 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. And we want to for sure include in that a well-rounded fitness routine that includes a mix of both strength training, so weightlifting, body weight exercises, those types of things, with aerobic or cardio-based exercise. So that's it. That's your recipe for exercise for mitochondrial health. Exercise goes far beyond just our muscles and our appearance. It's actually our cellular health. That's really important. That's why sedentary lifestyle or not getting enough exercise or over-exercise is so damaging to our cells. Okay, biohack number 4 for cellular health is mitochondrial support supplements. So our cells need certain key nutrients to function optimally. Our cells require things like omegas and electrolytes and magnesium and antioxidants to produce that ATP, that adenotriphosphate, that produces energy that our body needs to survive and to thrive. So certain supplements can really support mitochondrial health. And the key ones that I personally take and recommend for my clients that are facing, lack in their cellular health is things like coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10. And the form that you'd want to be looking at is ubiquinol. So there's a few different forms of CoQ10. You'd want to be looking at ubiquinol. NR or nicotinamide riboside, that is a powerful antioxidant for cellular and mitochondrial health. PQQ, this one I always have a hard time pronouncing, pyrroluquinolin quinone. Say that 3 times fast. Things like omega-3s, magnesium, an activated B complex is one of the best ones that you can do. Our cells need a full range of B vitamins to function optimally. Antioxidants like N-acetylcysteine and glutathione are really invaluable. All of your free-form amino acids, so all those branch-chain amino acids like creatine and glutathione, all of these are going to be essential for mitochondrial health. So again, if you're not getting enough protein in your diet, you're not getting a full range of free-form amino acids, your cells can't function optimally. And then some last ones is antioxidants like alpha lipoic acid, ALA or resveratrol from grapes, polyphenols, flavonoids. And again, a lot of that we can get from fruits and vegetables, but having a supplement can also be really supportive as well. So I will link up in the show notes, I'll link up some of my favorite mitochondrial support supplements, some ATP support ones, some cell boosting supplements, and you can have a look at those and see if it may be a right choice for you. Okay, biohack number 5 for mitochondrial health is breathwork. So we breathe every minute of every day, and we can't underestimate the power of breathing. But breathing not just in a shallow, not just in a stressful way that perpetuates the fight or flight response in our body by shallow breathing or chest breathing or mouth breathing, right? That perpetuates mitochondrial dysfunction, but breathing in a healthy, balanced way, an intentional way. So of course, we want to be, number 1, just breathing through our nose, avoiding mouth breathing, because that creates a stress response in the body. So working through any issues with breathing there and working with a practitioner to support your airway pathways if you don't breathe well, or if you have allergies, asthma, those types of things. But also working with breathing techniques. So if I was a yoga teacher for more than a decade, meditation and breathwork facilitator, and learning how to breathe is one of the best things that you can do. Maybe I'll do a full podcast episode on breathwork and how to breathe for optimal energy and vitality. If that's an episode that would be interesting to you, send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to hear if that would be helpful or any questions you have with breathwork. But incorporating types of intentional breathing practices, even just deep breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, or most of the breathing techniques that you learn, let's say in a yoga class or a meditation class, they're all going to help to create stress reduction. They're going to reduce inflammation in the body. They're going to support cellular respiration and cellular detoxification, which is essential for your cells to be functioning optimally, which is what we really want. Okay, biohack number 6 is cold exposure and heat stress. So exposure to the cold and to the heat can actually activate cellular and mitochondrial adaptation. So a slight amount of stress on the body is actually great for mitochondria, right? Exercise is putting stress on the body, and we actually build our capacity for mitochondrial size, for the amount of mitochondria that we have, as well as how effective those mitochondria are converting our nutrition into energy. So we really want to find the middle path when it comes to cold exposure and heat stress, because in the biohacking world, we see all about cold plunges and infrared saunas and, hot and cold exposure. And this can be really valuable because in balance, it helps to increase mitochondrial density and function, which is great. However, if we are using heat and cold and it's causing shock and stress to our system, as in when you're in there, are you feeling stressed? Is your body leaving those sessions feeling depleted, feeling low immune, feeling not great, or you're dealing with a lot of health issues like pathogens, and there's a lot of stress going on in your body, you have a viral-based infection, you have adrenal fatigue, then actually cold and heat stress, especially in extremes, is going to do more harm than good. So we really want that middle path. If we are feeling good and healthy, this can be really helpful, infrared saunas and doing, 20 minutes a day of sweat therapy and doing cold exposure, having cold showers. The key word, though, is without shocking your system. So if you jump into a cold plunge and you feel shocked, right, and you don't have the tools to breathe and to calm your nervous system and to not allow those cortisol and stress hormones in your body to spike, then we're actually doing more harm than good. So we want to find that balance, and maybe I'll do a full episode on how to do sauna, how to do cold plunge effectively, how to not let it spike your stress levels. If that would be helpful, let me know, and I'm happy to do an episode on that as well. Okay, biohack number 7 for cellular health is intermittent fasting. And I say this with caution because there's again, what are we talking about when it comes to health and vitality? The middle path. We're not doing extremes. Biohacking is not about extremes, especially holistic biohacking in the way that I teach it. It's not insane, and it's very bio-individualistic, meaning what's good for one person may be harmful for the next, and we need to understand that. So intermittent fasting is a dietary strategy that involves cycling between periods of eating and fasting. And it's been proven to improve mitochondrial function, promote cellular autophagy, which is a process in our cells in which our damaged cells and cellular components are removed and actually recycled. So we need our body's capacity to remove dead cells to rejuvenate new cells, which is great. However, for women especially, we're not intermittent fasting in the way that men do. And the unfortunate truth is that most biohacking advice, most science and studies on intermittent fasting are not done on women's bodies. And women, we have this whole infradian rhythm and this whole hormonal, 28-ish day menstrual cycle that makes, intermittent fasting more appropriate at some times than others. So really, intermittent fasting for women and what that looks like in our bodies is not necessarily the 16-8 method or the 5-2 method or eating all of your meals within 8 hours in a day. That's not going to be helpful and effective for you. But if you're a woman, what we can work with, and especially if you're a menstruating woman in the years of procreation and ovulation, is that we want to work with, on average, most days, we want to have a 12-hour overnight fast. That's going to work best for most women's bodies in that hormonal age range. If we are going to do more fasting, for most women, I recommend maximum 14 hours on most days. And that's specifically going to be in the follicular phase when your metabolism really allows for that. So when our metabolism is a little bit slower in the follicular phase, we don't need as much food. We can get away with longer fasting periods and still maintain our hormonal health and well-being. So we really want to find that middle path. I mean, if you are doing fasting periodically, it's not going to cause any harm, right? I will do, a 2-day fast here or there, or I'll do some sort of functional medicine detox where I'm doing a little bit extra fasting for maximum 3 weeks. So I'm not forever and ever intermittent fasting. That's where we get the hormonal depletion. If it's for 3 weeks or less, okay, we can work with it. We're ensuring that we're maintaining our hormonal health in other ways. However, intermittent fasting, we really want to work with our menstrual cycle, not against it. So hopefully that helps. And then finally, the biohack number 8 for cellular health is red light therapy. So red light is an amazing practice to support our mitochondrial health. Red light therapy, also known as low-level laser therapy or photobiomodulation, is a non-invasive treatment that uses specific wavelengths of red and near-infrared light to stimulate cellular function. So evidence suggests that red light therapy actually has really beneficial effects on the mitochondria and overall cellular function. So when we're exposed to red light, which we use through red light lamps, I will make some recommendations in the show notes, and I'll keep updating it. Like as I find new health tech and supplements, I'll keep the show notes of the podcast really updated. And we'll have links on the website as well, so that you have a really great resource page of what red light therapy product to use and what biohacking tools you can use. So we'll make sure to keep that updated. And you're always welcome to message me on Instagram if you have any questions or want any recommendations. I'm so happy to share, and I'm just a quick little DM away. So that red light therapy exposure, whether that's through red light as in a red light lamp, as well as even sunlight, right? Sunlight exposure. So especially the early morning sunlight, as well as the sunlight at sunset time, that exposure on your skin has the same effect as red light therapy. It's nature's red light therapy. And that really helps to enhance our ATP or energy production. It's anti-inflammatory for our cells and tissues. It increases blood flow, which increases cell membrane potential, oxygen utilization, all of this. So a little 2-in-1 for you is you can do red light therapy inside of the infrared sauna. Your cells are going to love you for that. Or go watch a sunset. Or the sunrise, and let the sun penetrate your skin, let it get on your bare skin, and you will start to receive those benefits. So those are the top 8 biohacks that you can use to support your cellular and mitochondrial health. Again, they are nutritional support, doing a functional medicine detox, exercise, using mitochondrial support supplements, breathwork, cold exposure and heat stress with sauna and cold plunge, intermittent fasting and doing that mindfully, and red light therapy. So these are really the top 8 things that we can be doing to support our cells and mitochondrial health today. And lastly, I'll leave you with some possible lab tests that you could do to really determine and to affirm if you are experiencing some degree of mitochondrial dysfunction, so that you can start optimizing it really intelligently. So the top 2 lab tests that I work with in my practice for clients is number 1, the heavy metal toxicity test. So it's a simple hair pluck. We call it the hair tissue mineral analysis test. And it's a non-invasive test that we're just going to pull out a few plucks of your hair, and we'll get a full assessment of both your heavy metals, if you have exposure to mercury, aluminum, arsenic, these types of things, or to see what your electrolyte status is, to see your body's exposure to oxidative stress, how stressed your cells are. We can see all of that inside of this hair tissue mineral analysis, heavy metal and mineral test. That's the main one that I use. And then the second one that we use is something called the organic acids test. And this is a basic urine-based sample that assesses mitochondrial function by looking at the metabolites of different digestion and assimilation and metabolism markers, to really understand how effectively your body is producing ATP and any blockages that may be getting in the way of your cellular well-being. So that is what I wanted to share with you today, my loves. If this is something that you are interested in supporting and optimizing for yourself, this is exactly what I support my clients with inside of my private coaching programs, my integrative health coaching packages, as well as Optimize and Rise, where we get into how to optimize your cellular health, your digestive health, your hormonal health, your cognitive health to live and be at your best. So if that's something that speaks to you, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a DM on Instagram or send us an email, and I would love to have a quick little just complimentary mind-body wellness assessment in the DMs to see which program I may be able to support you in best, or any tips that would be most supportive for you. So if that's you, look forward to hearing from you, and I am wishing you a beautiful day. Excited to hear your main takeaways on how you yourself can support your mitochondrial and cellular health. And of course, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you over on Instagram at Bindi Staples. So look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you back for another episode real soon. Take care.